Royale of the High has fallen, and that sucks because even though I played Royale High on and off, I enjoyed it pre-pandemic, but like many other players, I came back to Royale High after a few years, only to be overwhelmed by the atrocious prices, trading economy, little to no role players, lag, and almost nothing to do. At first I didn't really think Royale High was going on a downward spiral. A few years ago, I thought this decline in content was temporary, and the moment the new school released, the frequency of updates would increase. But now, the new school, which was announced around 4 years ago, only has part of the entire campus release, and at the same time the devs want to rework the campus again. I know lots of videos regarding Royale High's decline and issues have been made, but a lot of them are more just OMG, Royale High is so done, it's Royale over, goodbye Royale High. And I just really want to see people come up with solutions for this fatal game design, despite not really being game developers, because user feedback matters a lot. So what if it didn't have to be Royale over? What if we could think of positivity and hope for the future? So welcome to my How to Fix Royale High video. Here, I'll group different issues into a couple categories, and each section will focus on the cause of the issues along with potential solutions. Not that devs are obligated to listen, but I guess other developers that want to listen might benefit from knowing what players want to see in a good game. Keep in mind this is all my opinion. It's not necessarily correct or the best, but it's kind of subjective on how you think a game should approach game development to some extent. Also, while I was writing the video, Campus 4 got announced and put into alpha testing, so I guess we'll talk about that later. So here's my first category of issues, which is communication with the players and I guess the community itself sometimes. While Royale High's decline has a lot to do with the developers, I think the community has a bit of fault. Sometimes there'll be like a minor critique with the game, mostly with the cosmetics. And then on to Twitter, which is where the developers are mostly, it would turn into an overly huge controversy that always got out of hand. While it's not really their fault Royale High truly fell off, I think it did play a bit of a role into what the devs would sometimes prioritize to fix or work on. Like they barely did much anyways, but more on that later. This toxicity of the community on Twitter also really made the devs back down on communication more, but they shouldn't have been so reliant on Twitter to contact the community. It's not really as black and white as either side wants it to be made out, but overall these people make it harder to interact with the normal fans that just want to play the game, dress up and decorate their rooms, and other fandom stuff. Like a fandom that can fandom properly is essential to a healthy and active community, and because Royale High is very Twitter centric, this is a bit harder to do. While there's no true solution to an atrocious fan base, communication could help. I'm personally not a fan of Royale High solely relying on Twitter, or at one point Instagram. Can't really access the posts without creating an account, which does exclude some of the player base who don't have an Instagram or Twitter. I also don't like the readability of longer Twitter and Instagram posts. So why not create a dev blog? The fact royalehigh.com redirects you to the game's Roblox page makes me wonder, why couldn't the domain have been used for Royale High's own website? It can be a blog section that allows players to read articles detailing and discussing the developers' updates and plans for the future in better detail and organization. The website could also be used to host surveys to check interest for upcoming sets, updates, and other content. It could also be good for storing some information on the accessories and stuff, since fandom, which is where a lot of information is stored, is literally a pain to use. I also think it would be a great spot for Comment Bob to talk about more detailed plans and ideas for the game without being limited to a couple of tweets. But I'd also just like Comment Bob, the literal creator of the game, to be more present with communication and in the community like she was a few years ago. But I do think her writing blog posts on the proposed website idea would be a great start. Adomi is a really good example of what I mean with Roblox games having a good dedicated website, especially with the easily accessible news tab to know about previous and upcoming updates. So take notes, Royale High, as this is a pretty good reference, especially since Adomi came from the same era as you and still retains an active player base years after its peak in 2020. I'd also heavily recommend an official YouTube channel for Royale High to be made, as there is none for some reason. I know B-Plays is like an official ambassador and whatnot, but I don't really get why the literal official Campus Free trailer was posted on her channel, and especially since she has had a reputation in the past for clickbaiting videos. I don't have anything against B, but I just don't really get why a Roblox YouTuber overall has to be like the one who delivers official game news, like the direct source. Same applies for the fact most official news has to come from multiple YouTubers or developer live streams, and it can all be condensed into like one area. If it was all just put into one official YouTube channel, releasing official trailers, devlogs as videos, and other announcements could make a fantastic strategy to marketing your game, keeping your player base hooked, and potentially attracting new players. Jumping back into the community itself, I really think it would be beneficial for both the community and the devs to have a well-moderated forum to discuss the game. I know there's like a Royale High Twitter community, which I did check out for this video, but isn't quite what I'm looking for. There's already a Royale High subreddit, which despite the laughable reputation Reddit has, is honestly not that bad for a subreddit, and I like it much better than the Twitter group. Criticism and other conversations rarely get heated. There's mega threads to keep touchier subjects separate, non-drama related posts aren't sucked into drama, and the moderators seem relatively unbiased and fair with their moderation. I like the execution of the mega threads and banning of politics, as on other platforms it's almost impossible for the angry tea drama and casual side of the community to be separate from each other. And then my final suggestion in the communication category is communicate better with your influencers. Back in February, Call Me Haley came out with a video documenting her unfair removal of her influencer badge, which is because she criticized the game, which I'm very sure has been done more respectfully compared to a Twitter user. And from her Discord screenshots, it became obvious that lead devs are also kind of juggling influencer and public relations while deving at the same time, which if you guys didn't know is a really bad idea. Like I thought someone was in charge of being like a community manager or something, but I don't know, they're not really doing their job or something. I usually try to brush off drama and complaints from the Royale High Twitter community because of my reasons stated before, but it gets bad when you got YouTubers that are official partners going for like some crazy stuff and also having pretty compelling evidence. At this point, I don't know why the influencer program is a thing with the way it's organized and like other stuff. Like, come on, just hire some more managers. You should have like the funds, I think. Anyways, my next category is gameplay. An issue I have with some videos criticizing Royale High is that they attribute its downfall to its lack of representation or something. Not to invalidate the criticism, but isn't really the reason why Royale High has fallen off, and it isn't really what makes a game actually like successful, especially like fashion games. It's not like the only thing. Even before the demand for the representation stuff went up, the game was still hugely successful because there's actually something fun to do and use your outfit with. I think Ofemwa's Royale High video, specifically Hooked on Royale High, pretty decently encapsulates a problem with Royale High. I'd recommend giving it a watch, but in short, I can best summarize her point as I can grind away, getting the most dripped out, aesthetic Royale High fit worth $10 grillion, or have every customization option I could dream of, but at what cost? There isn't really much to do. As I mentioned earlier, back in 2021 or 2022, when I thought Royale High was in like a temporary drought that would go away once the third school was released, I noticed something was wrong with the gameplay. First of all, there's less role players than before, and the classes and mini games of Campus 2 have pretty much stayed the same since its release in 2018, with little to no change in the gameplay. So since the Campus 2 mini games are a little outdated and have gotten repetitive, I wonder what new and exciting things you can do right now in Royale High's new campus. Stacking textbooks, Pictionary, but we're in a preppy classroom, musical chairs, and some random fetch quests that can barely be considered gameplay as they are just clicking on a line of dialogue or going somewhere. Oh wait. That's all? We could literally go on to my next category of issues, but I could give some suggestions on what should be added. Now, obviously, I think most of us just want the previous school's mini games, but improvised, but I think other classes should be added. Like, what if there was like a history class where you could guess Royale High related trivia? Or what if the baking class allowed you to bake different treats other than cupcakes? What if extracurricular activities are added, such as different sports and cheerleading teams? What if there's ranks based on how well you and your team performs, and depending on how high or low it gets, a multiplier is added to the amount of diamonds you win per game? But who knows, maybe that's a bad idea. All the exploding in Roblox has kind of gone down over the years. Oh wait, how could I forget? Royale High is actually a role-playing game. Unfortunately, over the years, it's been getting harder to find proper role players due to the adding of trading, once popular hangout spots losing popularity, and the overall structure of the new school. For whatever reason, the new school has like every single room in the school being like an entirely different game that requires you to be teleported. This is not only highly inconvenient for a player with a slower device, since Roblox loading screens are always a pain, but it makes roleplay extremely hard due to this inconvenience. Thankfully, this could be resolved. Entire campus was compiled into one game, which appears to be Campus 4 situation, and I've actually seen in the alpha testing that it appears roleplayers are slowly returning to their habitat. So nature's healing, but I think the school itself should also be adjusted to have more hangout spots. The finest role-playing games of Robloxia always have a variety of spots around the map, specifically designed to be perfect for social interaction and gathering. In Royale High's case, the lobby on Campus 2 was one of the main socializing spots for players. It's super easy to access and was close to a majority of the classes in the school, which are also well suited for role-playing, such as the library or pool. For the new campus, I think the classrooms are already conveniently located. It should probably have like a downtime for the mini games and operate in a schedule instead like Campus 2. Not that the mini games are bad, but I think they work better when they are a collection you rotate between them. In fact, Royale High is literally a game where even a princess school gives it so much potential to have so many activities and classes to do, yet it feels like the developers won't really use that potential as much as it should be. But hey, while there isn't much to do in terms of classes for now, there's always trading and decorating my dormitory. Oh. Category 3, the trading economy and costs. One of the updates some may attribute to Royale High's downfall was the adding of the trading hub. I'm assuming Royale High added this feature in response to Adopt Me's massive success in adding pet trading in 2019, since a lot of games are hoping they could replicate Adopt Me's success with its cosmetic items and whatnot and other gear. While I guess trading was a success at first, long term it ended up being detrimental to Royale High as a whole. I know a lot of games have a huge trading economy, but the thing that keeps it afloat is the fact that the game itself actually has gameplay where you can like use the items you traded, which is what I just said Royale High lacks. While I personally am not a fan of Adopt Me, I still get the appeal of collecting pets. You can dress them up, sacrifice them to make one glow, sacrifice more pets to make one RGB, and slowly trade your way to better pets, and you're eventually rewarded for taking care of your pets with money. It's not really a perfect system, but it's still satisfying and achievable to the average player compared to Royale High, where it is borderline impossible to make enough money without trading or grinding for hours on end or using Robux. Like, why is the cheapest item in a set is rarely less than 20,000 diamonds? Over the years, Royale High's item prices have gotten disproportionately high compared to the actual amount of diamonds you earn playing. I know diamond farming is a thing, but the fact Royale High has it that you have to be doing like random tasks repeatedly on hours on end because the amount you earn normally is extremely unproportional to the cost of a set isn't really acceptable. So the best solution that I can propose is that all activities in Royale High must be significantly increased in terms of reward output, especially the ones require the most work, like mini games. Same applies for diamonds you earn for just playing the game. I also think item prices should be decreased too, because I don't think it makes sense for the price to be that way considering diamonds in real life are worth a lot. I know it's implied in the fountain stories the diamond currency is like small enough to be fit into a little pouch, but I don't think 80,000 diamonds should only get you shoes in Royale High, because 80,000 diamonds in real life is probably worth a lot. Also, those Robux diamond prices gotta be fixed, because who even uses it? Like 3,000 Robux doesn't even get you like enough to get 2 items of a set. Like, just fix the prices. It will literally make you more money and players might be happier. And my last issue in the monetization category has got to be the new toy exclusive sets. This has honestly got to be one of the dumbest decisions I've seen on Roblox. Now, I don't really care about the Jazzwares controversy because it's just like kind of annoying. People are harassing people for buying like slightly overpriced toy from scumming corporation 9 Gorillion. But anyways, my point is that it's kind of dumb to release more sets than you ever do in a year, only for them to be exclusive to toys, especially since sets aren't very released very often usually like once or twice a year on average. It would have been better for the sets that have been released as normal in-game and waves, or just make the sets obtainable both through diamonds and the toys. Releasing the set would have made the community happier and also make more money. But now it's a good time to talk about my next category, which is the fashion. I don't really know what else to say other than I think there should be like a search item for items like the faces or hairs, because it's kind of like a pain to like scroll through a bunch of stuff, especially with the faces. I also wish there were like more options for the guy version of the sets, because I really think there's some missed potential on the guy outfits. I know the devs are supposedly working on a new customization system, so I really hope they have scaling options so you can style your set to your liking, because I do think the default bodies of all the sets are a little yoinky splinky for my liking, and it would be nice to have that. But I do think it's a bit weird they suddenly stop making the guy versions of the sets and then say it's because they're working on a new customization system with no proper release date. No real release date. No confirmed release date for any updates. Well, that just brings us to my last category, which is the devs' overall lack of direction with Royale High. You see, the new school has actually been delayed multiple times, and as I mentioned earlier, still has not been fully released. Back in August last year, the devs initially made it out as the entire school would release in waves every few weeks. However, it's already been a year and it's still not complete. What makes it more annoying is that there's already a Campus 4 in the works. Now, the problem isn't that we're getting a new Sinky. It's not like Kami Bob just decided to remake the entire school before we even finish it. And I just think that's kind of incompetent, although most models are kind of reused and rearranged. From reading the history of Campus 3, you can tell there's so many ideas and ambitions for the school. And with all the new and changing ideas, a ton of things are added, removed, or changed. It's been rather apparent since the beginning of Campus 3's development. The developers have been rather indecisive with the direction they want Royale High to go in. And so as far as the public knows, it just looks like a sign of poor planning and indecisiveness. And it kind of shows in the game itself in two ways. First, the output and quality of the updates, which has been rather meh, as most focus has been into the new school that has also been in development hell. And second, with the performance and lag on devices that aren't NASA computers. While I personally can't access Royale High's models and scripts, I can make a few like educated guesses for why the performance issues are happening. First can be from the possible unnecessarily high poly count in the models sometimes. If you notice, some models are like really smooth like this, it usually means the model is like kind of high poly and a bit more than it should be. If the model has any bumps or rough edges, then often mean it's low poly. The higher the poly count everything is, the harder your device needs to work, and if device can't handle it, it usually results in lag. A good example of this is a mirror and hand dryer in the bathroom area. Both are not only extremely different in poly count, but also art style. Same applies to different parts of the campus, further proving my kind of point with the indecisiveness the developers appear to have with artistic direction of Royale High. Now, the poly count of models can't be really the sole thing making Royale High lag. I've heard some people discuss there's either like poorly written scripts, or there's like a bunch of unnecessary scripts that have no use that are running in the background. So I guess both are valid possibilities, but I think it's realistically a mix of both the models and scripting issues. But only Royale High's lead devs actually know what's going on because they have access to the studio file. They also have control over how game development goes, or how relations with the community can be done, or the economy, and basically everything. So the point I want to get out for this video is that developers have executed a lot of things wrong, and while Royale High is rather far from its glory days, there's still time to make things work out before it's too late. I don't want to see Royale High completely fail and succumb to the simulator slop that has poisoned Roblox. Royale High could still potentially thrive, and it's not great of an era of Roblox if the right changes are done in the right amount of time and there's good communication with the community. Maybe it doesn't have to be Royale over. We could be Royale back. Okay everyone, that's all. Bye!